Hello everybody, Dear the Query here, and first off I want to thank each and every one of my subscribers from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for checking out my little channel and deciding you'd like to stick around for a while. It means the world to me. So today we're celebrating 100 subscribers with a special video. Buckle down because it's a long one. I've been obsessed with warriors ever since I was a wee lad, being gifted the site from my grandmother as my introduction to the series. So it's no surprise I would hop online and want to roleplay my own crazy clans of cats. My memory span is 3 seconds max though, so there's not much I can tell you about the past other than I was, and still am, obsessed with Edgelord Incarnate. So instead of whatever cringy clans and cats of the past I came up with, I wanted to talk about the modern colonies I've made. Yes, colonies, not clans, because feral cats live in colonies. Specifically, the colony of the marshes, the colony of the dunes, and the colony of the trees. One of the biggest changes from the main stories is that there's no Star Clan. Instead, the colonies honor their dead by telling stories and celebrating their life before sending their spirit off to join either Sunbeam, Moonlight, or Starshine to watch over them and help move the sky. No dream prophecies, no ghost cats, and they're with the sky once they pass. So we'll start things off with some lore about that. Every cat around believes that each constellation tells a story, that each night they move so that cats across the land have a chance to see their messages and learn their tales. But the stars didn't always shine above, neither did the moon or the sun. Once, when the earth was new and animals had only just begun to roam its plains, the sky was empty. The ones to change that were 3 siblings. Beam was the eldest brother, with a flowing golden mane. He was big and loud, but he loved his family with all his heart. Light was the middle sibling, a beautiful silver queen who was graceful and beautiful. Z was usually silent, but Z never wavered in her beliefs, and always stood up for what Z believed in. Finally, the youngest sibling was Shine, a little black molly with a heart the size of the world, full of love and naivety. Shine was the first to notice the plight of the animals, lost and hungry and cold. She was pained seeing their suffering and went to Beam and Light for help. They couldn't say no to her pleas, and together they began to create. With a mighty leap, Beam jumped into the sky where his fur became a glowing ball of heat. When he grew tired and dipped below the horizon, Light jumped up to join him, her silver coat a cooling light for the night. They circled, day and night, and Shine followed every step of the way. Her claws filled the sky with pinpricks of light, and with everything complete, the animals below rejoiced. Each sibling was named after their creation. Sunbeam, for his heat during the day, helping the plants to grow and bring life. Moonlight, for their cooling rays that brought relief and visibility during the night. And Starshine, for the stars that now guide the paws and minds of those who came after. This is why the colony cats are gifted with a second half to their name, when they prove themselves worthy, to honor their ancestors that fill the sky above. Enough storytelling, let's talk about the main colonies and territory a bit. Starting off with an overview of the land, we've got 3 colonies living in a diverse ecosystem, based off a more fantasy version of ancient Egypt, without any humans. Specifically, with inspiration taken from the Katara Depression. A massive stretch of salt marshes, sand dunes, and salt pans, and the kind of landscape that could emerge if the Nile had more branches out into the desert. The colony of the marshes live within one of these areas, where the Life River has snaked off into many veins and created a wetland for the cats to live in. The cats themselves are based on jungle or swamp cats, and their main source of prey is fish and waterfowl. They're the most laid back of the colonies, and the most artistically inclined. They would rather lay in the sun all day than patrol, so their borders often go unchecked. Who needs to care about the other colonies when there's food right outside camp and plenty to go around? They believe highest is Sunbeam for the light, warmth, and life he provides them. Next up, the colony of the trees, who live in a thick tangle of scrubland. They are based on African wildcats, feeding primarily on rodents, rabbits, birds, and even young antelope if they get the opportunity. Their camp is set in a clearing surrounded by a thick wall of thorns, or a massive ancient sycamore stands in the center. From atop its branches they map the stars every night. They're pretty haughty towards the other colonies, believing themselves to be the smartest ones since they keep a strict written history of stories and events. for their belief towards Starshine and the lessons she teaches them. Every year, at the end of the dry season, they hold a festival of new life, where they burn the scrubland to make way for new growth. Lastly, the colony of the dunes, who make the sweeping sand sea their home. Based, unsurprisingly, on sandcats, they feed on insects, larks, snakes, lizards, and honestly anything they can get their claws on. They're a very reclusive colony, only ever coming out at night when the heat of the day has passed, and with how expansive the sand dunes are and how little they offer, it's not often the other colonies see them. Despite the violent and sneaky stories the other colonies may tell, they're actually quite nice and a tight-knit group. Their camp is well hidden within the sand, deep underground in a massive cave. A branch of the river runs underground, leading right through their camp and providing fresh water and the ability for them to grow herbs and other crops. They believe highest of moonlight, for providing relief from the sun's heat and for giving them light to hunt by. With that out of the way, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of things, and we'll start with the ranks. Each colony is led by one of three things: a Sir, Dame, or Heir. Instead of a cat getting the suffix star, they receive this title at the front of their name. Say, Sir Reedcurl for Marsh Clan, or Dame Sandrunner for Dune Clan. It's considered extremely rude to leave out these honorifics. They also only have one life to lose, no Star Clan handing out extra chances. Next is the second, simply put, the second in command. Each colony actually considers this rank differently. The tree sees this much like the clans, and if the leader dies, the second will take their place. The dunes, similarly, have the second doing deputy duties, but if the leader dies, there's no guarantee that the second will take their place. Any cat can challenge them for the position, and a duel decides who will lead. The Marshes mostly see this position as a nice name for someone responsible. They help out and take on more duties and dole out responsibilities the leader may be too busy to handle, but in the end, any cat can be elected leader after one's death. The colony holds a vote on who they want to lead them, and if the cat accepts, they will take on the position. Next up is the medics, who are mostly unchanged. They do the medicine and all that jazz, except they can also have kits and a mate if they feel like it. Medics are also allowed to cross over any borders for herbs they need, or to ask help of another medic. The scribes are a new one, and are here to mark down basically everything. History, herbs, birth, deaths, all that. The colonies all mostly write on sheets of papyrus paper and ink, but the Marshes and dunes also use clay or stone tablets. The dunes especially, given how little papyrus they have. A new rank is smith, basically blacksmithing cats. Depending on what they want to do and what their colony needs, they can lean more towards art or towards weaponry. For example, the dunes have blunted claws, so their smiths create sharp metal battle claws they can use instead if needed, or fabric cloaks to keep them cool if they go out during the day, while the Marshes enjoy pottery and weaving tapestries instead. Each colony also knows how to make all sorts of prosthetics, like mechanical legs or wheelchairs. It's fantasy, we have fun in this household. Warrior duties are split into two roles, lookouts and trackers. Lookouts are the guards of the colonies. They know how to fight, and they do it well. They keep watch on the camp or guard the trackers while they're out. Trackers then are mostly hunters. They're taught basic fighting skills, but it's not often they see battle, since their main duties are to hunt and check the borders, the latter of which they always have the lookouts accompanying them. They have the strongest sense of smell in all the clans, so if anything needs found, they are the first ones for the job. Caretakers watch over the camp in a different way. They make sure the dens are kept in order, that the camp is clean and the walls secure, and they keep an eye on all the kits in the colony. Any cat can be a caretaker, and it's a well-respected and vital role to be had. Apprentices are basically unchanged, save their ages. At 6 moons, they begin a transition phase, where they're allowed to try out any role they choose to see if they enjoy the duties, but are under restrictions, such as not being allowed to leave camp without a mentor. At 8 moons old, they become official apprentices and are given to whatever role they ended up choosing. They don't have their own den. Instead, like most from Marshes, they sleep out in the open or around the edge of the camp. In trees, they sleep in the branches of the great sycamore, or in dunes, they sleep in sheltered hollows around the cave. Elders and kits are, of course, unchanged. There's not much to change. On to another big difference from the clans. The colonies don't have the same naming system. A kit is given a single name after they are born. Say, Fawn. They keep this name until they earn their full name, by proving themselves worthy and ready. At this point, they're given either a prefix or a suffix, so fawn could become fawn light or light fawn. They can choose the second part of the name themselves by asking the leader beforehand, but most like to leave it to fate and find out what their leader chooses to honor them with. I didn't know where to fit this stuff in, so here's some assorted things. There are 3 seasons: flood, growth, and dry, and they last 4 moons each. At every change of season, the colonies come together in a massive gathering and celebration to share news, crafts, ideas, all that sort of thing. It's held from dusk to dawn, northwest of the territories, where a mountain ridge called the Sky Spire sits. Cats who don't belong in a colony or group are called strays. There are a lot more colonies out there than just these 3, but these are just the ones in focus. At the base of the Life River, where it meets the sea, is a massive coastal trade hub where colonies and strays from all over gather to trade and barter. Each of the 3 colonies send out a few cats each year to the hub in order to get things they may not have nearby, such as exotic herbs, dyes, or stories told by sailors from across the sea. The colonies each have differing views on cross-colony relationships. In the marshes, they really don't care. If you love someone and they want to come join, hey, the more the merrier. The trees are very strict about relationships, and while a cat can mate with anyone from another colony or even a stray, they frown on relationships with feelings. The dunes are sort of a mix. They don't care if you mate with someone from outside the colony, and they will allow outsiders to join if they pass a trial. To prove themselves to be able to survive out in the desert, and to be willing to fight for this colony and cats above all else. No previous loyalties can get in the way. And hey, look at that! We're done! That's basically all the things I could think of explaining. I won't bore you with the new herbs based on ancient Egyptian remedies or the prey and predators the cats face out here because there's a lot. The place is dangerous for a cat. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this talking video. Maybe I'll do more at some point, but talking about things from the books instead of my own fan clans. I've got a lot to say about Lion Blaze. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time.